I am 28 and she is 34. Me and my sister grew up in a bad family. Our dad was alright, but also a drinker. Unfortunately he died when I was 8 and our mom was straight up horrible. Our quality of life more or less went from crappy, but manageable to horrid. What was even worse for me was my sister leaving a year later to live with her boyfriend, leaving me alone with mom. The next years I won't go in depth on, but I ended up being taken by child services at 13 and put into foster care until I was 18. I more or less decided to move on. I forgot about my past and family, decided not to seek them out or speak to them again, got a job, put myself through college and with a lot of hiccups, like a lot. I ended up graduating at 24 and have since been doing extremely well for myself. Just to be clear, during all this time my sister never once reached out to me either. That was until 3 months ago when I got a long message on social media. No apologies, no discussion of the past, just a long message about how she was sick and needed her brother right now. I wanted to ignore it, but my girlfriend convinced me to go see her. It was awkward. She has 4 kids, no husband or boyfriend in sight, and I don't think she has any friends either. She reminded me of our mother. All she did was talk about herself. Regardless, I felt bad, so visited her a few more times, up until last week that is. She told me she had gotten her affairs in order, and she put me as the person she wanted her kids to go to. I immediately told her that was not happening, and that she should reach out to their father or something. She cried saying they were not in the picture and begged me. I held firm and ended up leaving when she started screaming at me. I haven't spoken to her since, but I have received a load of messages from her switching between cursing me out and begging to take them. I feel terrible. I could technically give these kids a good life, and I'd essentially put them through what I went through if I don't. But I do not want to give up my life and what I have built for the sake of a woman I barely know and kids I know even less. She wants to die in peace, knowing her kids will be taken care of. She loves her kids enough to worry what's going to happen to them after she's gone. I can't imagine going through that. Of course, you're not responsible for her or her kids. Just such a sad situation all around. I truly hope she finds some comfort placing her kids. You have to do what's right for you. As you said, you don't want to give up your life. No idiots here. You are not an idiot for not wanting to take on 4 kids at 28. Especially ones you haven't been involved with. At the same time, she wants someone to take care of them. And not be put in the system. Not sure the deal with the father, but if they have nothing to do with them now, they would likely be horrible parents. Are there other family members? Cousins or anything? Regardless, if possible, try to at least be involved in their lives. The uncle they can call, someone steady in their life. It's a horrible situation, but the honest truth is that you'd probably do a poor job for these kids if you weren't prepared to put your entire future on hold. Being a parent means putting your desires on hold and putting the kids' needs first. If you can't do that, then don't even consider it. You just mess them up by giving them false hope. Not the idiot, best to cut all ties. Don't let her message you by blocking her. Rip this band-aid off and move on. If these kids grow up and decide to seek you out, just be prepared to be honest with them. I lost my first wife 10 years ago to cancer. My now wife and I married in 2015, and we've become a big blended family, a little like the Brady Bunch. I have 2 kids and she has 2 kids. Our kids are all roughly around the same ages as well, 12-17, but my stepdaughter and son attend school living with their dad and usually will spend summers and winters with us, with more holidays in between. The issue. My ex-in-laws, late wife's parents, are very close to my kids, so they've been inviting my daughters to spend summers with them in Europe. They live in London. My daughters really love this since it makes them feel closer to their mum's heritage and they get to travel a lot in the meantime. My in-laws are very well off and will spend parts of the summer taking the girls skiing or exploring exotic locales all across Europe and even Asia. Now my wife is feeling very annoyed at how her kids are feeling as a result. She says that, well, we're supposed to be one big family. My kids are obviously being given more opportunities to succeed in life. By traveling, learning new cultures and languages, and getting elite summer internships. My oldest was an intern at the ICJ in The Hague last summer by her granddad's connections. My wife is unsettled at the gaps between my kids and her kids. I honestly don't know how to solve this. My in-laws are very wealthy to the point I don't think I'll ever be able to match their level of power and money. They will always be able to provide for their grandkids in ways my stepkids won't have. My wife wants me to put limits on these kinds of gifts to promote equality, but I also feel like this would be unfair for my daughters, who love their grandparents and are blossoming in their summers there. I had a heart-to-heart with my stepkids recently, and they expressed similar views, that it's not fair my daughters get the privileges they do. I've been trying to spend more quality time with them and taking them on special summer vacations. That's the best we can afford, but that's still a far cry from French chateaus and Italian villas. My wife says I'm now actively harming my stepkids by refusing to step in and rein in my in-laws' spending on my daughters. But I know, if I do, it would also cause massive backlash with them. Am I the idiot for how I've tried to handle everything? Is there something I'm missing and could still do? Not the idiot. Your daughters lost their mother and the grandparents have stepped in to fill that void and give them wonderful experiences. Your stepchildren still have their mother and 2 fathers. No experiences in the world can match that fact. I think your wife is the idiot for even bringing it up. She is obviously jealous. Nothing in life is fair and her kids will benefit from learning this early on. They spend their time and money isn't your business, and you aren't going to prevent your daughters from spending time with their deceased mother's family. Also, to your wife, it's pretty horrible to insist that your daughters have things be taken away from them, or to somehow insist that her kids be included by your former in-laws. If anyone is the idiot, it's her. The only thing you want to be mindful about is how your daughters talk about these trips with the other kids. Not saying that they do, but make sure they aren't flaunting or bragging about their trips. No idiots here. I understand why they're sad. I get sad too when people go on cool holidays and I don't, but I also don't think they should expect ex-in-laws to pay their way. They want to spend time with their deceased daughter's children, not necessarily the rest of you. Use it as a learning opportunity, getting your wife on board first, that we all walk different paths. Perhaps set a family goal and save for a trip together next year. My 37, beautiful wife, 39, and I have been married a while now, and she has 3 great kids, 12, 9, and 7. The kids are awesome. Coolest people I know. My dad died when I was 9, and my stepdad came around 3 years later. The best thing my stepdad did was take the pressure off my mom so she could be there for us. I idolized my dad, but I loved my stepdad too, and being one has made me proud. I actually get a kick out of taking over the laundry so my wife can play with her kids, or fixing their bikes so they can go ride with her. I do more than 50% of the house and yard work. Happy to. However, the only thing my wife and I ever fight about is the fact that she won't make her kids do any chores. Like none. They don't clear their plates, they don't sweep or vacuum, they often don't even flush. It makes me furious with her. Even when my dad died, my mom kept our chore chart going. She said we all had to help each other. It gave me consistency, responsibility, pride and character. Then, all this happened. Like all of you probably, I'm overwhelmed. Now, there's 3 times more housework because everyone is constantly home. I can't do that much housework plus work from home, and I've been raging and angry all the time. My wife works part-time from home and gets child support from the kids' dad, who does make them do chores at his house. She has refused any and all attempts to have a conversation about how we might teach the kids to clean up and do their fair share of the housework. I am not asking them to scrub the floor with a toothbrush. I think while they're home all day, they should be learning how to do simple stuff, like help with dishes or help with laundry, or sweep the floors or flush the toilets in addition to playing. They have 1 hour of school a day. They can do 30 minutes of chores and still have 10 hours to play and enjoy themselves. Everybody should do a fair share. Because my wife refuses to even discuss this with me, I chose a different tactic. I'm not doing any more chores until the kids do. I'm not going to rage around being resentful, angry and exhausted all the time. Those kids are amazing. I'm not going to wreck the great relationship I built with them either. It's their mom's fault they're like this, not theirs or mine. I'll work and do basic cleaning up after myself. That's it. My wife can do everything else, or she can get everybody on board doing their fair share. So, what do you think? My wife thinks I'm the idiot not supporting her when she needs it most. I think she's the idiot for babying her kids and overloading me. What do you think? Am I the idiot? I think I'll go with not the idiot on this one. You've tried to talk with her about it and she refuses to have her kids do any chores, so I'm not sure what other options you have. Having kids do chores has way bigger implications than just making sure the dishes are done. If they don't do chores, how are they going to be expected to take care of themselves when they're adults? Learning to be responsible is a very important life lesson. Truly wild to me that your wife doesn't see it that way. Not only do I think you are not the idiot, this is basically the advice I give when stay-at-home moms complain about being overworked and underappreciated. I call it the mommy vacation. You explain to your partner that you are taking it because while you love them, you are absolutely overworked and you don't feel like your family understands how much you do, how much time it takes, or how what you do affects the whole household. So you are giving them time to see the difference and you hope they are willing to do more when the mommy vacation is over. Their mother needs to understand that they have to learn how to do chores. It also teaches them about responsibility. What will happen when they leave to live on their own, college, etc., and if they can't even do even the easiest task? Plus, to learn with an adult they trust, whether it's you, their mother, both of you, would be much more beneficial. She needs to understand that. I have 2 kids, different dads. I have a savings account for both. The account of my oldest, Lucy, has had £10 per week added to it by both myself and her father and has gone up by about £1,000 a year and is over £13,000. The second account is for my son, Luke, who is 6. I have regularly added to this account since I found out I was pregnant and have about 3.5k in the account. His father, my fiance, had a separate account for Luke and has told me he was doing the £10 a week since we started the accounts. I recently found out the account he has for Luke only has a couple hundred in it. My fiance earns less than me, but more than my ex. If my ex can afford £10 a week routinely, when he has nearly identical spending habits to me and my fiance, but lives alone and therefore pays for rent and bills in full, and my fiance earns more than my ex, there is no reason my fiance should not have been able to make the £10 payments each week. I earn the most of all 3 of us, followed by my fiance, followed by ex. My fiance said he forgot and asked me to redistribute the contents of Lucy's fund to make up for the money missing from Luke's. I said, hell no. Luke's account is around 3k less than it should be. We have a wedding fund that contains a little over 2k of mine and my fiance's combined money. We don't want a huge wedding, but we do want a really nice honeymoon where we can just go away for a week and not worry about money while we're there returning. My fiance says that he doesn't have the money to replace the 3k Luke is missing all at once. I have said that I want to take the wedding fund as it currently stands and deposit the lot into the savings account I control that is meant for Luke. I would not be doing this if my fiance had not 1. Lied for around 7 years about saving for our son, 2. Claimed he did not have the money to replace it, 3. Suggested I take money from my daughter, saved up with help from my ex, to fix my fiance's mistake. I also said that I want him to set up a direct deposit of £10 to the account that only I control each week. I will not budge on any of this as we agreed years ago now that this was a good idea and that it was important to invest in our son's future, and he has lied to me for 7 years now about making that investment. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot, and it's appalling that he would even suggest taking money from your other child's account. Like what? How on earth would that be okay in any way? This whole situation is weird, especially that he has so much money saved up and is lying and trying to hide this from you. This makes me very uncomfortable. Glad you respect yourself and your children enough to confront him on this. He's not acting like the person you can trust to spend your life with right now. You would be the idiot if you married this jerk. What the hell? He has £60,000 hidden from you and his family. He cares so little for your and his son that he is happily saving up for what? Himself. He doesn't give a crap about his son. I hope you can see that. The fact he can't put a measly £10 a week into a savings account for his son. You need to tell him to put the whole lot in the savings account for his son, put the wedding deposit in, and kick him the hell out. What a freaking lying idiot. Don't marry him. Not the idiot. You have a 7-year-old together. You're still living apart. He's got £60k in savings, but he's bullcrapping about a couple grand in an account for his child that you both agreed to do. Certainly don't get involved in anything serious like a marriage. If anything, start asking him to pay child support or get a court involved if need be and sock that away for the kid. Me, 31, and my fiancé, 26, have been together for 2.5 years. Engaged for 4 months. We currently live together in an apartment an hour away from the hospital, where my dad is staying. He has lung cancer, his condition hasn't been improving, and I've been visiting him and my family whenever I can to see if they need anything from me. My fiancé's cousin's wedding was yesterday. I don't like attending weddings and large occasions, especially now that my dad is struggling, so I'm not really in the mood. But I decided to go anyway since my fiancé insisted. But I got a call from my mom wanting my help at the hospital. My fiancé heard me while I was talking on the phone and threw a fit when I told her that I can't go with her to the wedding because my mom needed me. She argued with me, but I told her to have some empathy and realize how much pressure she was putting me under. I noticed my glasses were missing, and without them it was impossible for me to drive. I looked everywhere and I couldn't find them. Although I was certain I left them on the coffee table. I spent nearly an hour looking, and I was getting so frustrated. I didn't have a choice but call my mom back and explain the issue I was dealing and apologize for not coming. Thankfully she said she'd call my sister and the call ended. In exactly 10 minutes after the call ended, my fiancé walked out the bedroom wearing her dress and holding my glasses in her hands telling me to get ready to go to her cousin's wedding. I was stunned. I knew she hid them because when I asked where she found them, she said they were on the nightstand, but I looked there and I couldn't find them. I literally yelled at her for pulling this nonsense so that I won't go to the hospital and go with her to the wedding instead. I told her I won't go after this. And she yelled back and said that my family are treating me like a doormat by constantly asking me to come and taking advantage of me. She said that I should let someone else deal with their never-ending problems and focus on us. She tried to convince me, but I still refused because I was so pissed. I took my glasses and I left immediately. I didn't find her home and I started getting texts from her mom wanting to know what was wrong, but I haven't replied to her thinking she'll instantly take her side. Not the idiot. Also, you mean ex-fiancé. Let's make something clear, your dad is dying. He is literally fighting for his life and she prioritizes a wedding over you possibly losing your dad. She clearly has empathy issues and you got to drop her. She literally withheld your glasses to prevent you from helping your family, she used your disability to trap you and manipulate you to do what she wanted. I'm sorry, but there is no coming back from something like that. Drop her. Everyone's the idiot here. Your fiancé for taking your glasses. But you do too. How long have you known about this wedding? You used the excuse of your mom calling to bail on the wedding. This help that she needed was so dire that you had to bail on your plans, yet when you couldn't do it, she found someone else with no problem. Why didn't you tell her in the beginning that you had plans? Ask if there was someone else that could do it. I agree that you're being a doormat. You are sacrificing your relationship with your fiancé to cater to your mom. It's obvious what your fiancé did is childish. But what did your mom want that she easily could have called someone else for? You should have asked if it was necessary you had to go. If you were gonna go no questions asked it was more like you were just happy to get an excuse not to go to the wedding. If your father was having some issues and it was better safer than sorry to go I would get. But it seems like you just didn't want to go and your intro gives the impression as well.